Hi Stitchy friends, it's Sally here from Flossy Sews and Grows. Well, it's Friday the 14th of July, it's Flosstube number 16, and well, I think it's been about a month since I last saw you. Just busy. So welcome back to any of you that are regular viewers or subscribers, and also welcome to anybody that is new. Lovely to see you. I hope that you'll come back and join me again for future floss tubes. Yeah, so it has been a busy month. Just life. I'll give you a little update about what I've been up to at the end. And to go straight into stitching, I thought today I'd show you what I've been up to for the last month. Although I've been busy, I still have managed to do a little bit of stitching. But also just thought, as it's kind of mid-year, it would be really good to give you an update on all my WIPs. So I'll do a WIP parade. And yeah, I had a quick look at my stats yesterday. I thought, how many starts have I done? How many finishes have I done? I'm trying to come up with a bit of a plan. So next year I'm 50, and I've been chatting to Sarah at Sew Me Sarah, because she's also 50, the 50 Club. Woohoo! That may be what we could do for our 50th birthdays. And there's talk. I suggested there's talk about. It was a suggestion from me that maybe 50 starts, which I think Sarah was a bit about. But I looked at my figures and I thought, well, actually, mid-year from January, I have had 22 starts. I've actually finished 21 projects, which is pretty good. Now, I think probably one of the differences between Sarah and I is that I do stitch a lot of smalls. I stitch a lot from punch needle and primitive stitcher, so a lot of small things, and it's only really recently that I've done some bigger projects. So maybe I'm being a bit ambitious, but there's ongoing discussions with Sarah and I about what we could do next year. So where am I going to start? I'm going to start with my finishes, actually, because I do have two finishes. Two that, well, one that I have been promising for a while that I was going to finish. Now, this is Eleanor Rigby from Blackbird Designs, which I have stitched on a 40 count mystery linen in the called for weeks dye works threads. And I was stitching this along with my friend Steph, who is Stephanie Wingett. I'll put her Instagram handle below if you want to go and check out her Instagram. And we've stitched this together across the pond because Steph's over in the States, and Steph did it in the most beautiful autumn colours, and she finished a couple of weeks before me. We'd said we'd finish in May, or did we say we'd finish in April? Then we said we'd finish in May, and I did, Steph, I did finish it in June. So that's Eleanor Rigby. I'm really pleased with it. For those of you who saw my last floss tube, I finished Blackbird. So these are both Blackbird and Eleanor Rigby are both from the Magical Mystery Tour series by Blackbird Designs. And I did think I'd stitched Blackbird on 32 count fabric, and I was a bit, I wish I'd stitched it on a smaller fabric, smaller count. And I absolutely adore, I mean, it's so delicate and lovely, stitched one thread over two, apart from the name, which is 1/1, which I hated. But it's lovely and delicate, and I wish even more so now that I'd done Blackbird on a smaller count fabric, but that's not a very big one, so I might do that again. But really pleased with that one, and I think the plan is to do all of the Magical Mystery Tour designs from Blackbird and probably frame them and put them all up in the same little area. So my partner's a big Beatles fan, so I think that'll be a lovely kind of tribute for him to have that up. And my other finish, really pleased with this one. This is the floral etchings from this is one of my favourites. Tartan Hand, isn't it? One of my favourites. I typically haven't got the pattern to show you because I thought it's a finish, I'll remember everything. From Heart in Hand, Floral Etchings. This was a market release, and this is stitched on 36 count fabric, and it was a fabric of the month from Fabrics by Crafty Kate. And actually she has made this a fabric now in her permanent line, which I believe is called Sand Dune. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's perhaps coming up a little bit, it's a little bit more pink than perhaps it's coming up on there actually. Let me just see. We've got a really wet horrible day here in Wales, so the light is probably not that brilliant, but it's probably a little bit more pinky coloured than that's showing. But I really enjoyed stitching this. Some quite nice blocks of colour, but you know, spaces in between, so it was an interesting one to stitch. And I stitched that in all the called for fancy flosses, so a mix of Classic Colourworks and Weeks Dye Works threads. Really lovely, really lovely. So those were my two finishes. I also had two starts. So everything, because I've decided very last minute I was going to talk to you because it's raining and I've not had time to get to the allotment. Not really prepared myself brilliantly, but this one is Seasons of the Heart from the Blue Flower, and a very small start here. I'm stitching this on 40 count. This is a Zweigart fabric. I think it's the end bit from another project, because it's not a very big bit that's needed for Seasons of the Heart, and it is Country Vintage Cream. So that's my small start, and I'm stitching this as part of the seasonal sale that Lynn, the Lancashire stitcher, has started. So I started this on the I think it was the 21st of June, was the 23rd was the summer solstice, so the start of summer. So very enjoyable stitch. I have already stitched winter and spring, so this is number 3 of the series, and I will try and get this finished before we move to autumn, which will be June, July, August, well, September, which is when I will start autumn. But not made a huge amount of progress on that one as yet, but there is still plenty of time. My other start, yes, I've been actually I have some months where 5 or 6 starts, and really the last month I've only done 2, so this is pretty good for me actually. And just to say, Seasons of the Heart is actually from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. I've got a feeling it's summer 21 issue, and I don't print out the cover picture of these because I try not to use the paper or the ink, so I just print the chart out or use the chart online depending where I'm stitching. So it's summer 21 from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. I think all of the Seasons of the Heart series are in Punch Needle issues, and I think they were all in, so spring, summer, autumn, winter, all in 2021. So that's been a really good one to do for the seasonal sale. So my second start is out of the same issue of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, and this is Seed Dandelion, and I only started this on Wednesday, and made quite a decent inroad to it already. And it's from Barbara Anna, and it's actually Stitchy Sally, my friend who I stitch Barbara Anna on Wednesday evenings with, had finished this, and it's actually stitched on a darker fabric, but I had this piece, it's only a small piece. It's actually it's one from Crafty Kate, so Fabrics by Crafty Kate again, and I'd wanted to, this was one of her fabrics of the month, which now is in her main line, and this is called Beautiful. And before before I placed my order for this one, for the fabric of the month, I'd thought about it for a future project, and I'd said to Kate, oh, I don't know whether to order, what size to order. And Kate said, oh, well, I'll give you a sample. I haven't got the 36 count, which is what I normally order at the moment, but I've got a small piece of 32 count that you can have to see if that's what you want. And it actually it was, and so I ordered the bigger piece for that month, fabric of the month. And then, but this piece, I just thought, well, it can't go to waste, and that's just a lovely little small. I think it is what, 101 long by 77 across, so just perfect to go on that little piece. So made a start on that, and I usually, so Wednesday's my day that I stitch Barbara Anna with Sally from Stitchy Sally, and I just felt I've been stitching a lot on the 4 seasons from Barbara Anna, and I'll show you that shortly. And I just felt I wasn't getting very far very quickly. I'm stitching it on 40 count, and there's quite a lot of detail certainly in the skirts of the 4 seasons. So I felt that I just needed something that was quite quick and quite easy to get on with. And so this was an absolutely perfect one. And I think probably 1 or 2 more stitchy sessions and it'll be finished. So talking of, so those are my 2 starts. So we'll go into the WIP parade, and I have got, well, I've currently got, including those 2 new starts, 17 projects on the go, one of which I'm not going to show you because it is a present, so it is secret. So 16 to go. No, can't calculate. A few WIPs to go. Anyway, so as you can see, this is how far I've got with Barbara Anna 4 seasons. As you can see, I have actually finished that bottom of that skirt. I was getting a bit closer to you, couldn't I? As you can see, lots and lots of detail in that. Let's move you a bit more to the light, that's better. Lots of detail in that skirt, and it's 40 count. It's a mystery fabric. I'm not sure what it is. It's from my Magic Stash bag, and I'm stitching it 1/2 with pretty much the threads that came with the kit. So this is a kit from Nitka in Moscow, and I had been saying on a previous Flosstube how much I liked it. I really liked it, but obviously with the current situation with the war in Ukraine, I couldn't buy it. So I was kindly gifted to it by my friend Nikki in Canada, she'd stitched it already. She sent me her chart and her leftover floss. So pretty much using the leftover floss where it looks good, but I am making some substitutes. So I think that one of the substitutes I've made here is the sky, and that is a classic Colourworks or Gentle Arts that I've put in there instead. And then the lighthouse, I felt that the red that was provided with the chart was quite orangey, so actually I've substituted that with 321 red, Christmas red DMC, and then I think I've actually made the sea a little bit darker as well. So just where I felt the colours needed changing slightly, I'm just using up scraps and using up bits and just adding things in where I think it looks great, and really pleased with it. But have just felt it's one of those that's a little bit slow going, and it's perhaps taking me a little bit longer. And it's in my beautiful bag, project bag from Bumble Stitches by Nicola, who sent me that after I won it in one of her competitions. I think that was her, was it getting to 10,000 subscribers, or was it even more? I can't remember, but I love her Flosstube. So it was really lovely to have won that. Next WIP is tongue twister. Always got my tongue twister on this one. It's Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. This one, lovely. Absolutely adore this. This was a market purchase, Nashville purchase, and it's by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. And I have made quite a bit of progress on this one. Again, on a 40 count mystery fabric. Don't know what it is, but that's my magic stash bag. I'm sorry I haven't ironed, but I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. And have, as you can see, since you last saw it, I've made quite a bit of progress with the borders and some of the bits going up here as well. I have made mistakes. Things aren't quite as they should be, quite where they should be. I've made a mistake in the border and it's a stitch over, but hey, I wasn't going to frog it and I've managed to fudge it. So nobody, I bet you can't see from there where I've made a mistake. So, you know, ho hum. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous threads for this. I'm stitching it with all of the called for Classic Colour Works and Weeks Dye Works. They're beautiful, beautiful threads. And that's on my little Christmas, Christmas little, with my little ring bling from, which came in the Patchwork Rabbit Advent Calendar. So really enjoying that one. I think I will get a finish on that one quite soon. If I make sure that it's in my rota. I don't have a rota. I don't, I'm a bit of a stitch what you love girl. And I have to say I have been really trying to work on things to get things finished. I've not been driven quite as much to get things started in the last month or so. Maybe that's just because I am busy. But I have really been trying to think, no, I need to get some finishes under my belt. I think I'd got my WIPs up to about 2021 and felt it was a bit too much. So I think June I was at 16, finished the month at 16, July, you know, I'm now at 17. I'd like to get a few more things finished before I really start on anything new, although there's lots new that could be started. There really is. Up next, I haven't got the chart for this in my folder. I think it's in the drawer over there. I'm not going to get it because I think you will have all seen it, but it is Peace on Earth by Cottage Garden Samplings, and you haven't seen this one for quite a while, but I thought as it's Jolly July, I'm going to give it a go, get some stitching in. So I've actually done, since you last saw it, I've done quite a bit of this house here and a row of white here, and finished that one flower and started on the next one. This is stitched on a 40 count mystery fabric. I'd say it's Vigart because it's got the old orange line on it up there. It doesn't look like it's got any mottle on it, so I would say it's something, it's a kind of bluey grey, maybe something like Peaceful Grey or Icelandic grey, something like that. But it's a beautiful colour. Again, 40 count, so I'm finding it a little bit slow. I'm stitching it pretty much with the called for either DMC or the fancy flosses where I had them. Yeah, so finding that one a little bit slow, but I thought because it's Jolly July, need to start getting, you know, some of my Christmas stitching done. And with this one, I'm trying to put at least one thread in a day just to get some progress with it. And perhaps not, I think because I've got quite big blocks of colour there with that house, and the bricks on the house are perhaps a little bit fiddly. I'm perhaps not enjoying it quite as much as some of the other things that I stitch, but I still love it as a picture, and I'd still love to get it finished. So so I thought, right, if I try and do at least one thread a day on it, it should give me some progress to then perhaps get to some of the other bits of stitching that maybe I will enjoy a little bit more. Now this one is the Supernatural Sal. Again, a pattern I bought online, so I haven't got a hard copy of the chart to show you on this one. But I started this one about a year ago, just as we were going on holiday to Northumberland, and took it up to Northumberland with me. Did I start it kind of, yeah, it was July, I think. And I just thought, right, it's a year old. I would never have got it finished for Halloween last year because it was a stitch along and the final bits didn't come out until after Halloween. So I thought, no, right, need to crack on with it and get it stitched for this Halloween. So this is where I am up to. Since the last time you saw it, I have stitched some of the gnome. I've stitched some of the vampire. I think I've stitched some of the ogre, just finished off the border of the ogre, and then stitched, this is the unicorn here. So I've stitched the border for the unicorn and started the unicorn. So there's 4 more to go in at the bottom here. This is on a 32 count fabric called Vampirella that I bought from, actually no, my partner bought it for me as a surprise, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, from the Stitchy Ferret, and I really love it. I'm stitching, it's 32 count, so I'm stitching it 2 over 2 with, I started with called for where I had them, but actually I'm really getting a bit more creative with this, and just changing it where I think, and just, you know, it's been wonderful seeing lots of people have stitched this and posted it on Instagram, and it's been really wonderful seeing the changes that people make and the different things that they do with it. And I perhaps wish I'd been a little bit more ambitious, or perhaps a little bit more thoughtful with where I started, actually, because the siren was the first, and I did actually change the colour of her. I felt that she needed a bit more of a kind of mermaidy colour tail. I can't quite remember the tail colour that she had, so I did change that. But as I'm getting a bit further down, as you can see, the vampire there, she's done in sparkly etoile. So I've had, you know, bought halfway through it, and I bought some etoile. So just trying to add in a little bit of variety and a little bit of me making, you know, changes with that. So, you know, my aim for that is to get that finished for Halloween, framed and finished for October. Yeah, it's very much achievable. It's an easy stitch. It's not difficult because it's 32 count. It's easy to see in the evening when your eyes are tired, just as long as I'm not making mistakes. So I can get that finished, holidays and time off allowing. So those are the things that I have worked on since you last saw me. Some of the other things that I have got, so my other WIPs that you haven't perhaps seen recently, that I have got, that I need to start thinking about doing a bit more work on. You have seen this one, actually. I think, did I show this on the last Flosstube? Let me just have a look. Had I worked on it? Yeah, you will have seen this on my last Flosstube, but I haven't done any work on it since then. This is Peacock Manor. And again, this is from Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery, and it was in the June 2023 issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine, which I bought a copy online, just because I loved it so much, and not made a huge amount of progress on that, but want to just continue with as and when I can. And I'm using for that the called for Weeks Dye Works and a couple of DMCs that I believe are called for. Not a huge number of colours in here. I might have perhaps stolen some for other projects, but that's on again the end. It's the same fabric as I'm using for Seasons of the Heart. It's 40 count piece of Zweigart Vintage Country Cream. It was from the end of Teresa Kogert, which you will see shortly. one that you haven't seen again for a while, and I was really keen to finish this one, actually, really keen to finish it, and I haven't. So this is Love Family Home, and it's the Little House Needleworks logo chart. So I've had this for a while and stitched with it came as a kit, and so it came with the flosses, all classic colourworks, and a lovely fob with the little key on for the house, and there you go, the little logo. So as this is an oldish project, I'm stitching it on, I think it could be 28 count actually, and I think it's antique white, just Zweigart, and I'm stitching it 2/2. Here we go. I've made quite a lot of progress since I started it, but not quite enough to finish it. I think all I've really got left to do now is actually just put the leaves on the tree. And I saw somebody else had stitched this and actually put some French knots, little red French knots as well on the tree leaves to make it look like little apples. So I may do that as well, just to brighten it up as well. Because I have made a change in this, that because we've got a red front door, I changed the front door to red, and I changed the heart to red. So I added the red in. That is, what colour is that? Ribbon red from Classic Colourworks. That didn't come with it. I've added that in. I just felt that it needed a little bit of a brighten for me, a little bit of a lift. So that red door and the red heart has given it that, and I think possibly some French knots apples as well would look really good. So not a huge amount more to do on that one. I'd quite like to get that one finished soon as well. Again, just I think once I pick up a project, I do like to then I'll get 3 or 4 days or sometimes even more. It'll then come back to being in my 2 or 3 that I will pick up. So I tend to have about 2 or 3 on the go, that if sometimes I don't start work at the moment till 11, so if the weather's bad and I don't go to the allotment, I'll perhaps think, once I've done all my jobs and I've done everything, by about 10:30, I'll think, right, well, just sit down and have a coffee and do 20 minutes of stitching before I start work. And I perhaps, this week I've been trying to do Peace on Earth and do my 1 thread a day there. But if I do my 1 thread and then think, oh, I don't want to do any more, I'll perhaps pick something else up. I sometimes get a chance to stitch in the afternoon when my daughter gets home from school. She kind of gets herself, she's 13 now, so she comes home, gets herself a snack, gets herself ready for dance, and then it's off to dance. So it just, after work, just gives me half an hour sometimes just to chill and get out of the zone of spreadsheets and numbers, which my job's in the financial world, so that's quite often what I'm doing, and my head's all a bit after. So half an hour just to sit and stitch before I take her to dance. So I might do a different project then, and then I tend to stitch in the evening, and I'll usually take 2 projects downstairs with me. I keep everything upstairs here in my stitchy room, and I'll take 2 things downstairs, normally something that's smaller, perhaps on 36 or 40 count, and just keep going on that until my eyes feel tired, and then I perhaps will have a 32 count project. Like the Supernatural Sal, that's been one that I've been taking down with me, and I've been getting tired and thinking, right, I've got another half hour to stitch in front of the TV, but needs something a bit easier on the eye, and that's been a good one then to get out. So perhaps I will work on 2 or 3 projects a day. So once I get into the swing of one, it'll stay in my kind of little rotation for a while. So some of these things that I want to finish, I need to get in that rotation. So another one, which was an online purchase. So I must try and remember the name. This is the Moonshine Cabin, and it is from Jacob at Modern Folk Embroidery. And I started this as a stitch along with Sally from Stitchy Sally. And Sally finished it quite a long time ago, and I think actually she'd been inspired by another friend of ours, Charlie Stitches with Charlie Feathers. Hi Charlie! I didn't mention her in my last video and she was very upset, so here you go Charlie, your special mention of being a special friend. So I think Sally had actually been inspired by Charlie to stitch this, and then Charlie was then inspired by Sally to actually finish hers. So so they've both finished it and I'm still here. So I'm stitching this on 32 count. It's a Zweigart, and I can't remember what it's called. It's either called slate or charcoal or chalkboard. Can't remember, but I did have it on a Q-snap, and I think that's really what hindered my progress. That actually I'm not overly keen, I don't think, on stitching on a Q-snap. I perhaps find it's not tight enough for me, so I have actually moved it to a started stitching on with a hoop, and as you can see, got my selection of hoops here, and haven't tried a nudge hoop yet. Would really like to do that. Perhaps I need to borrow one off one of my friends who's got one, or perhaps try one at a retreat. Maybe if someone could let me borrow one when we go to stitch in London, so I can have a try. So I much prefer stitching in a hoop, and actually I think once I've done a session on this with the hoop, I made much quicker progress. So it's just one that I need to pick up soon. Possibly, will it be finished for this winter? Nah, maybe not. We'll see. So probably about halfway through now. So another one. I'm doing this one as a stitch along with my friend Kate, who is Crafty Kate and Fabrics by Kate. Oh, I've just seen something that I think I could do. And this is Mighty Acorn. It is from, there it is, Mighty Acorn. It is from the Winds of Autumn by Blackbird Designs book. And we're doing this as a stitch along. I think it is hashtag Mighty Acorn Sal. I am stitching this on a 40 count mystery fabric from my Magic Stash bag, and I haven't made any progress since I last showed you this, which was perhaps a few floss tubes ago, can't remember, but that is how far I've got with that. I think I thought I might get this finished for this autumn, but I think that is unrealistic. And I think it probably, because I want to concentrate on getting the Supernatural Sal one done for this autumn, and there's a couple of other ones that I have got in I've got Cinnamon Stars by Plum Street Samplers in my stash, and I really want to start that this autumn. So I think this will be an ongoing one to perhaps stitch seasonally, so stitch this in the autumn so that it's ready for next autumn. I've got a mix of the called for WIPS Dye Works and DMC. So where I had the WIPS Dye Works already, I use those. I think though Kate might have given one of them to me. Although, and we have been having discussions about the house. I think Kate is stitching perhaps a red house, there it is at the bottom, and I might stitch a blue house, and then my blue house might have a red door and her red house might have a blue door, because we might switch our threads at the end there. Haven't seen Kate, I think has been on holiday, and obviously runs Fabrics by Crafty Kate, and I know she's quite busy at the moment, so I don't think Kate has managed to stitch on this for a while, but she had got further than me with that one. So that I think I'm really looking forward to picking that one up again in the autumn. Another one you haven't seen for a while from me is another one that I bought It's a PDF. This is Be Not a Dunce by Mama Loves You GB, and I think it's Mary Ann Kettle, and I'm stitching this in 310. I originally started this last November for Black Sampler November. This is how far I've got. So it's stitched on a 40 count mystery linen. Reasonable amount done. Probably wouldn't take a huge amount of effort, or maybe a couple of weeks if I worked on it and didn't work on much else. Could get it done reasonably quickly. But it definitely needs picking up. I would quite like, I think Michelle is also going to stitch in London, which is October. So maybe I should aim to get it stitched for Stitch in London and take it with me so that she could see it. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? So there's an aim for that one. I did stitch on this last month. I think I might have shown you my progress. Again, an online chart here. This is The Joy of Winter from Stitches Through the Years. The lady's name is Lana Lenskaya, and it was a freebie. And again, this was a stitch along that Stitchy Sally started. That Stitchy Sally has finished, and this Sally is still stitching. But it is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I'm stitching this on 36 count Country Vintage Mocha. And this is how far I've got. I do love it. It is very gorgeous. I think I did have a bit of a stumbling block with all that white at the bottom, and that just took quite a lot of time. And then actually, I think kind of now I've started this border up on both sides. Actually, there isn't a huge amount to go in on that. So I think I might pick this one up again actually now for, well, it's not Christmassy really, is it, for Jolly July, but it is still joyful and a kind of Christmas themed one. So we'll see. But again, I'd like to get this one done, I think, to have it on display for my winter, on my winter displays. So that one definitely needs to get done. And actually, can you see why I'm not really wanting to start much, because I've just got so many other, sorry, Flosstube itchy nose. I've got so many other lovely things that I really want to stitch, and I just haven't got the time to stitch them all. So to kind of just be not starting much and get a real effort to get some things finished is, yeah. Does anyone else have this dilemma? Please comment below and say that it's not just me. Please do. I'm pretty much stitching this with the called for DMCs. Beautiful colours, beautiful stitch. Yeah, looking forward to getting back to that one. That one must... They're all going to be top of the pile after today, because it's looking at them and thinking about when I last stitched on them is reminding me how wonderful they all are, and I need to get cracking. Another online chart purchase. This was from Crow's Feet Stitching. So Ruthie at Crow's Feet Stitching, and this is Deck the Halls. And this is on a 32 count mystery fabric from my 32 count magic stash bag. And terrible progress. Not made much progress at all, actually. I started this because Marie from Stitches and Diamonds had shown it, and she did do a stitch along, and there is a group of us, and I think there are a few people that on the group that stitched it quite quickly and got it finished quite quickly. And I think Marie is probably in a similar situation to me, that she hasn't I think she's got further than me, but not a huge amount. I think there's some quite nice, as it's on a 32 count, and there's some quite nice blocks of colour in that, maybe with the table, and certainly with the skirt. Actually, that's a really good plan. So for Stitch in London, I am going to, so the lady here, I can't obviously show you the chart, but the lady here has a rather big old Victorian skirt. I might, for Stitch in London, get some of the outline done of that skirt and some of the other bits, and that'll be a really good stitch to take along to a retreat to get some good work done on that. So that is a good plan for that. So that's October. I am thinking this will be a present from my mum, so she might not get that this Christmas. That might be a next Christmas. There we go. We'll have to work on that. Now this is one that I started a while ago. I haven't got the... I bought this one online as well because I haven't got the front cover for this one either. It's got my working copy, or is it one that could be one of my mum's charts that I borrowed? Can't remember. And she's had it back. So this is Jardin Privé, and it's ciseaux et bobbins. And I remembered this. I remember that I had it when Sarah from Sew Me Sarah did a she showed us all the stitching charts that she had, and that she hadn't started yet, but she wanted, you know, we're in her stash. And I thought, oh, I like that one. I'm sure I've got it. And I don't think I've shown it to you before. I think I've had to root it out. And I think it's one that I'd started, you know, when I got back into cross stitch and said to Mum, oh, I'd like to, what could I do? And she'd said, oh, she'd got some things. And so I think it's one of the first ones that I started on, because actually the stitching doesn't look that great, I have to say. I'd say it's on a 32 count. I would say, I think that's antique white actually. I don't think it needs an iron. I haven't made a huge amount of progress, but the stitching isn't looking, and it's 2/2, so the stitches to me look a bit bulky and a bit... So I'm in two minds actually. Now I look at it, I've not done as much as I thought, and it's got a needle minder on it that is scraping on my board and being a bit noisy. Little cute needle minder. I don't know, I can't remember who I got that from, but I'm going to put it... I normally keep my needle minders actually on my light so that they're there when I need them. I'm in two minds with this one. Whether to just scrap that and start it again on a smaller count, so a 36 count maybe, and 1/2, because I haven't done a huge amount on it. It probably took me a while to get that far when I was, you know, because when I started back stitching again in 2021, I hadn't stitched for just over 10 years, so don't know. Again, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think I should do with that. Should I finish it as it is, or should I just start again and stitch it 1/2 on 36 count? I think that's probably what I'd rather do actually, because I think it could be a lot more, I think it'd look lovely, a bit more delicate. And I do like, have you watched Mouse Potato Designs, where perhaps where you've got a little reel of cotton like that, rather than do it in cross stitch, you'll do it in satin. I do quite like that. So that's one to have a think about. I'd love to know what you think. Been doing that, and that was done in, I think Mum had all of the called for DMCs for that one, which she then lent me, or I then replaced hers. So I've got the call for DMCs with that one, but I think I've then taken them out and put them in other projects as well. So a bit all over the place. Finally, my last WIP is, this is another one that I bought at Nashville Market. It's Remember Me by Teresa Koga. And I haven't done much on this one since I last saw you. It is pretty much the called for DMCs, and there's one used brick and Celadon from Weeks Dye Works. I have started to write. I've started to write on my little label. So as you can see there, 3051 is taken out of here and put into Joy of Winter, so I know where to find my other threads if I need to. This is how far I've got with this one. This is done on the cream, vintage country cream from Vigart, that you've seen the bottom bits of other projects, and this is how far I've got with this one. So it's 40 count, so I'm stitching it 1/2, so just lovely and delicate. And I'm stitching this in memory of my dad, who we lost in the year 2000, and my partner Simon, his mum Diana, who we lost in 2020. So this is in memory of both of them. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I had given myself a target to finish this by September for my dad's birthday. When I showed it to my mum, she just said, "That's a really big piece. Don't put pressure on yourself." It is probably one of the biggest. What's the size of it? It's 229 by 264. So it's probably one of the biggest I will have attempted. And yeah, it's beautiful. So I think I'm not going to rush it. It's to remember them. So the longer it takes me, the more I can sit and remember them while I'm stitching it. So I'm not going to rush with that one. That'll be when I get a moment to put it into my rotation. So I think that is all 15 of my WIPs, because I have got one that is a secret one that I'm not going to show you because that is for a friend. Yeah, so that's all 15 that I'm stitching. Whew, quite a few. And of course, when are we now? So we're mid-July. We're going off camping the end of July and twice in August for long weekends. So I do need to have a think about what I'm going to stitch when I'm camping, because I haven't got, it's only you know, I'll be sat outside, so it needs to be small. I won't have light, so it'll be depending on what the light is like, so it probably needs to be 32 count. So I need to have a think about what I've got coming up and what I need to do. So haul. I've actually been a very good girl. So in the last month I have not really, I've been trying not to shop. I've got so much. I have got so much, and I've got so many patterns here that I want to stitch, and yeah, been trying to be really good and not spend any money. But I got my June fabric of the month, and I really should have taken this out of the packaging actually, because just to give you an idea of how absolutely beautiful this is. So this is the June fabric of the month from Fabrics by Crafty Kate. So I get the 13 by 18 size, so that size, but you can also get 18 by 27. Kate is absolutely brilliant. Kate sends out an email on the 1st of the month and tells us what the fabric is that month. We can decide not to have it if for some reason we don't want it. For, you know, I thought with the July is beautiful. It's very much like kind of colours of my Dreaming of Miss Claus, kind of purpley blues, and I thought, oh well, maybe I don't need it this month. But then I thought, I'm gonna get it anyway. So I haven't actually yet said no to a fabric of the month. I've had them every month, but I have changed sizes. So as you can remember, the Bluetiful, with that one I did go up to the 18 by 27 because I've got that for a biggish project that I want to at some point start. So I changed the size on that, and Kate will also let you change the size of linen as well. So I normally get 36 count, and yeah, it's always been 36, but I have bought odd pieces from her in other counts as well. So this is the June fabric. Now it is, let me see if I can get, So I've got the light on and by the window. Is it coming true to... I don't think it is doing it justice. I don't think it's doing it as... Maybe it is. It is gorgeous. It's quite a deepish pink. I think it's coming up a lot lighter actually on camera than it is in real life, but it's beautiful. Haven't yet decided what I'm going to stitch on it, but I've got lots of charts, so I've got lots of options, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So really pleased with that. Thank you very much, Kate, and looking forward to hopefully seeing Kate soonish, so I can get my July fabric. I saw one of my naughty friends. I think it was Charlie from Stitches with Charlie Feathers. My naughty friend told the group that Lovecraft had a sale on of Weeks Dye Works fabric. Now this is probably the weekend actually after I last filmed, so these are now at full price. But I managed to get, and I know my friend Emily, who stitches with Ems, bought some beautiful colours in the 32 count. And also I was a bit naughty and messaged my friend Sarah, who I think has just changed her name. So Sarah Ward, I know a lot of you will know her through Instagram. I also messaged Sarah about something and said, oh, have you seen Lovecraft? I've got a sale on of Weeks Dye Works fabric. And she was like, oh, so she went and bought a few as well. Now there was a lot more choice of 32 count, a lot more of the colourful choice, when with the 36 count it was very much more neutrals. So I ended up with, I think these are fat quarters, 17 by 27, so pretty much fat quarters. Actually it's 35 count I bought, so parchment, and it's in the bag, but you can get an idea. And yeah, not necessarily showing true to colour anyway on my, I don't want to open these. And beige and tin roof. So I think this will make a good Halloween one. I have got the Halloween, where are my charts? My charts are up here. I have got, I think I might have shown you this as a purchase last month. Yeah, I've moved it. When you want something, it's not there. The Teresa Koga Halloween sampler, I think actually that might be a really good one, that tin roof with that. So yeah, I was quite pleased with these. I think they worked. I think they were about £11 each. So for a fat quarter, that was quite good. There was a bit of debate. I know one of my friends, Kim, who is Stitchy Squirrel on Instagram, when they arrived said, oh, are they old or new Weeks Dye Works? And I think we worked out that they're probably, I think Weeks have changed their linen supplier, and I think these are old, because Kim says they're quite soft, and these are definitely kind of on the floppy, softer side. But that's fine. I can stitch with that. As I said, I stitch normally in a hoop, so you know that's fine. But actually, Kim I think has stitched on both old and new, and has said that they're both, you know, she likes stitching on both. They're both enjoyable, so that's not a problem at all. Other thing that I bought, Lisa, who is cross stitch midwife, she loves bees and's been saying lots of bees, and she put that she'd found this, or a friend had told her about this at Home Bargains, which is a great UK store that we have. So a frame with bees on, and so I bought one of those because I thought I have got a few bee. Well, I have got one right behind me. I've got my Barbarana little bee girl there. I thought that'd be a really good little frame to frame something in for a summery bees. Haven't decided what yet. I might have to stitch something new, but there we will. You never know. And then I was really lucky. I won a competition on Instagram that run by Groves Limited. Now Groves are a supplier in the UK. You can't buy from them directly, but needlework shops or shops can get an account with them and purchase things to obviously then. So they're in effect they're a wholesaler, but they do run competitions for us Instagrammers, and I was lucky enough to win some thread. Now I thought I had won a competition which was luminous colors thread, and I was pleased. Who you know, who can say? But you know, I have very much decided that I will only enter competitions when there's something that I really want, because if I get it and then I think, oh well, I'm not going to use that, or it's not quite what I like, then that's a shame, because it's detracted a win from somebody else that really might want something. And I did think that's a little bit about these, you know, or maybe they're neon threads. I thought, oh, why did I enter that one? But you know, I can perhaps use them as a giveaway, or they'll be great for incorporating into my Halloween stitching, because there's some, you know, some quite crazy colours there, or I can give them to one of my friends. So imagine my surprise and my joy when my little package came from Groves, and it was these beautiful, absolutely gorgeous linen thread from Anchor. Now these are, so it's 100% linen thread, and it's 15 meters, 6 strands, but they look very fine. And actually I popped them on Instagram last week or the week before, and a couple of people commented to me not to use too long of a strand because they do fray a little bit, or they do start to shred a little bit. So they came in this box, which is a hashtag proud to craft, and came with a little booklet that tells you all about the threads. So they're 100% linen embroidery threads. They are 100% natural linen. There's 36 colours, so all quite, that's probably brighter, they're all quite muted, kind of quite primitive. So really the colours of the style that I really like. They're vegetable based dyes, ideally suited to heritage style embroidery and heirloom pieces, so kind of quite my thing. And it came with a piece of Ada and a little freebie pattern in the booklet as well, which is his little house. Now I don't usually stitch on Ada, so I'm having a bit of a debate whether to stitch the house on that and give it a go, or whether to give this away to somebody and stitch it on a piece of linen, because I'm sure I've got a piece that will fit that perfectly. But so I will stitch that little house probably on a piece of linen, and a lot of people have kind of expressed an interest in how I get on with the threads. So there they are again on the back, the colours. So I will give that a go and I will let you know what I think. But I'm really pleased with that little prize, and I don't think at the moment there is anyone selling them. I know somebody messaged me and said they couldn't find them at the moment in the UK, so I'm going to give them a go, and once I've stitched that little house I will come back on and I will show you, and I will also try and find out if there is anybody in the UK that has started selling them, so that if you do like them you can go and purchase them. But I guess because you can get them from Groves, most local needlework places, certainly in the UK, will probably order bits and bobs from Groves. I know that my local LNS does, so you know that's something that you, if you're interested, you can ask your local needlework shop, and I'm sure that they will be able to source them for you. And I'm sure that will be the same in the States as well. I'm sure that they will be accessible, and again, it's letting your needlework shop know that you know about them and that you would like to order them. so I'm sure that won't be a problem. So what are my plans? Well, just to keep on stitching what I love when I want to. You know, obviously really keen to get things finished. I now have got rather a big pile, so this is winking at me. This is really winking at me. This is my to fully finish pile. Look at this. Look at this. Things that I wanted to finish to have up for the summer. Oh, I've got 2 Christmases in there. Oh, there's absolutely loads that needs fully finishing. Yeah, so that needs to be done. Maybe not a summer job, although this sewing room is an absolute tip. It's an absolute mess. Right in front of me, I've got, so it's my daughter's old room, and we moved her to a bigger room during COVID, and my partner and I have taken it over. I have got most of it, and we've got a big table here to my side, trusty ironing board here with all my things that I wanted to talk to you about on there, and he's got a little bit at the end of the table with his computer. I've got my cutting mat, my big quilt cutting mat in the middle of the table, which it's covered. You couldn't cut anything on it because it's absolutely covered. I've got a big I'd be ashamed to show you, so don't please ask me to do you a tour of my sewing room because it's too messy. I've got a big chest of drawers here in front of me that is full of fabric, so quilting fabric, other fabric, cross stitch fabric, and curtain fabric, and all sorts in there. And then in front of me there's quite a lot of boxes to get to it of charts and frames and mount board, and some wadding there. There's a pillow I need to make. There's some wrapping paper. That cupboard in front of me is where all the camping kit is, and my partner said to me last night, yes, you do need to sort out your sewing room because we need to be able to get the camping kit out for next weekend when we're going camping. Yeah. Needs a big tidy. Needs a really, really big tidy in here. But, you know, it's time, isn't it? And, you know, life has been really, really busy. So it was 3 months this week, I think, that I started my new job. So I'm working 4 days a week from home, but those kind of hours that I'm working every day are quite full on, really quite full on. You know, initially I had to do an awful lot of training. I've gone into the financial sector. I'm kind of financial advice. I work for a financial advisor, and so there's a lot of regulatory training that I initially had to do. And you know, I love it when people say, oh, I sat and stitched while I did a training course. I can't do that. I have to sit and write things down. If I don't write it down, it doesn't go into my head. So it's that, you know, it's been a really full-on 3 months, and I'm actually doing the job now, which I'm really enjoying it. But it does take brain power, and I am quite tired by the end of it. So but then it is nice to kind of spend half an hour stitching. So then on my days off, like today, you know, I should have been at the allotment, but it started to rain, and if I hadn't gone to the allotment, I wouldn't have filmed. So maybe thank goodness for the rain. I'm catching up with my mum this afternoon because I haven't seen her, and you know, she's here, there and everywhere, and then we're here, there and everywhere because the summer holidays start for us next Wednesday. So, you know, daughter will be at home, partner is a teacher, so he'll be at home, and yeah, life will be hectic. We went to a wedding 2 weekends ago in Yorkshire, near the Yorkshire Dales. It was absolutely beautiful. This beautiful hall. It was a quite extravagant wedding. It was beautiful. Now, it was from one of my very old school friends, who's a very, very good friend, and another school friend who's kind of been my best friend since school, came over from Australia with her husband, and they came and stayed with us on the Thursday night, so we got to spend time, just the 4 of us. And then we travelled to the wedding on the Friday. My partner and I were staying in a cottage with friends of the grooms, and we had a bit of a potluck dinner. We all took something to have a shared dinner, and we had an absolute wonderful evening with them. Met some really, really lovely people and had a really great time. The wedding was on the Saturday, which was wonderful, a beautiful ceremony and a wonderful kind of dinner and then evening event. And then on the Sunday, we were able to use the spa facilities at the hall. It wasn't a hotel, but it was a hall that did quite exclusive weddings. And you did 4 weddings a year, so it was quite, it was almost a hotel setup, but not quite a hotel. But they had a spa facility, absolutely beautiful, really had a lovely morning. And then there was a garden party in the afternoon, stroke evening, with a barbecue, and it just wonderful to spend time with my friends from school, and my new friends that we'd met, who we were sharing a cottage with. So just an amazing weekend. And I think I got my stitching out once. I stitched 5 stitches and said, I can say I've stitched today. So that was great. And of course, my daughter's dance school show, I think that was just about to happen when I last spoke to you. And I run the backstage at her dance show. I'm responsible for organising all the adults who are helping backstage, chaperoning the children. So kind of a lot of work went into that. And then the kind of evenings of the show are really hectic, and I'm responsible to get all the dancers there to the stage on time so that they get on to do their dance on time. Glad that's over. It was wonderful. It's great fun, but hard work. And then the allotment. I mean, the allotment, we had a run of wonderful weather, really wonderful weather here in Wales, and kind of the last week or so, or the last 2 weeks, it's not been great. So when it's dry, I try to get to the allotment, pull up a few weeds, harvest a few lettuces, and then it starts raining, so I'm off again. Haven't had time to take photos and share what I've been up to really with you on that, but hopefully with the summer holidays starting on Wednesday, the weather will suddenly improve and it'll be fantastic. So really, that's what I've been up to, and for my stitching and life, and it's been hectic and full speed, but great fun, and all good. All is good in Sally's world. So thank you for joining me. If you have managed to stay this long and you haven't yet subscribed to me, it would be great if you could subscribe. It just, it's a little thing for you to do, but it means the world to us Flosstubers when we get a subscriber, because it means that there's somebody out there who has loved the content that we're providing, who's really enjoyed listening to what we've been saying and watching what we've been showing. And it just gives you a little boost when someone presses that button and subscribes. So it would be fantastic if you could. It will mean that you'll get a notification the next time I put a video, hopefully not too long. I'm hoping I can not leave it as long as a month the next time, but it'd be great if you could subscribe. My numbers have kind of since my last Flosstube haven't really changed. They've kind of gone up and then they've gone down, and then they've gone up and then they've gone down, and then they've gone up, and it's all a bit strange. And I think Stitchy Sally filmed this week and said that her viewing figures aren't quite as great at the moment as normal, and I think I would agree. On my last Flosstube, it really wasn't as much, and I wonder, if like me, life is busy for quite a lot of you, and also those of you who stitch. I think there's lots of you who are stitchers out there who also garden like me, and I had a conversation with Sally and said, I think everyone's out there in their gardens when they can be, and it's not cold and dark at night, so we're trying to get fresh air and be out and about. So I hope that is the case, and you're all enjoying what sunshine there is. When the sun comes out, it's beautiful. We have some lovely weather, but then we've had a few. It's been what I would say very alpine, that we've had some really hot weather kind of early on and during the day, and then about 2 or 3 o'clock we've had a thunderstorm and it's cleared it all, and then it happens again the next day. So we have had a few instances when it's been like that. So lovely to see you all. Take care, happy stitching, and I hopefully see you soon. Bye everyone.